everyone, this is Payal Karnik and welcome to Chit Chat Diaries. Today we are in conversation with Divya Jain. Divya is a life and spirituality coach and she is also a trained counselor as well as NLP master practitioner. Now, some of Divya's work also revolves around inner child healing, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, and she also works around the energy healing part of things for the last 10 years. So we are very privileged to have Divya here today, and she's going to talk a lot about relationships and love, which is her key area of focus. And she's helped so many clients get the love that they really want and deserve. So, Divya, welcome.
Thank you, Payal. I'm so happy to be here and really, humbled by your very, very warm and kind words of introduction. And yes, hi everyone, whosoever is listening in, so really, really happy to be able to connect with all of you. And like Payal was saying, we all want love. It is something, all of us desire. And yet sometimes it just seems so hard and challenging. So looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, it does, Divya. And this is where I will really like to straight and jump and ask you that, from your experience in the work that you do, I often see a lot of people either through my observation or when they come to me and speak to me directly, instead of relationships, which are usually associated with something beautiful. Love is something we all enjoy. But nowadays, for some reason, everybody associates with it as something that they fear. There's a lot of frustration, there's anger, there's anxiety, and a lot of singles who are looking for love are afraid to take that leap. And the ones who are already in a relationship, they actually feel trapped and they are looking for freedom. So, what is it about this freedom that they're trying to look for in a relationship, and also this fear associated with it? What is wrong that people, instead of wanting love, are running away from love? So, please enlighten us.
You, I think, asked the question very beautifully, and you also, painted a picture which I think a lot of people can relate with, Payal. And like you said, I do hear these things pretty much every day from my clients. And it is almost paradoxical because, like you said, all we are all looking for is love. And yet somehow, it seems so elusive, something as basic and as natural. Because you talked about energy. So if we look at energy, our essence, our soul is just pure love. So love is what we are born with. Fear is actually what we learn. Right?
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. So it is the conditioning around having seen people go through bad relationships, sometimes having ourselves gone through bad relationships. It is the memory of that pain, that kind of holds us back because none of us, like as human beings, we're always trying to, move away from pain. Right. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is also that, interestingly, the moment you say the word love, it's always about somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of bring people's attention to the fact, how do you perceive yourself? Do you love yourself deeply and completely? And what does even that word love mean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a word we all use like so often, but many times when I ask people, so let me ask my audience that if I ask you, say I was an alien who had just landed on planet Earth from outer space, and I hear this word love everywhere, and if I ask you to explain, what does love mean to you? How would you explain it to me? Do you want to take a shot at it, Payal? How would you explain love to me?
Well, to be very honest, Divya, my definition of love has literally changed or rather evolved over the period of time. Because, I guess being from India, when I was young, love to me was all about Bollywood songs, running around the trees probably. And, so
Right.
that is what the idea of love was, and as things progress, I think you start to look for the meaning of love from your family. What do you see around in your family, your friends, and then when you have your first relationship or crush or whatsoever, you try to find the meaning of love there. But eventually in all these years now, I've come to realize that love is something that, like what you said, it's within. And also love, I understand for now, is about giving. Because we always think about, what can I get, but what can I get is all about self gratification. That is not love. But when it comes to love, it's about what can I contribute or what can I give. So that is my understanding, Divya. I mean, you are the expert here on love, so you can tell me if I did well.
No, no, you did extremely well, Payal. And obviously, our understanding of love is very personal. There's no really one definition that would cater or resonate with everybody. Yet I feel
Mm-hmm.
that, like you said, again, it was so great that you talked about, the Bollywood songs and how our idea of love is initially limited to that, especially when we are younger. We are so influenced in our understanding of love by what is happening around us, pop culture, movies, literature, right? So we all have a certain idea of what a relationship should be. And then, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, as we grow older and we start to evolve, as we understand ourselves better, we also begin to understand, the greater meaning of love. And again, like,
Mm-hmm.
to pick on what you said about, it's also about, yes, what am I willing to offer to this relationship? And of course, it's a give and take, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many people, I somehow feel that a lot of listeners might also, struggle with receiving, but somehow, like, we feel we want to give. In a relationship, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But, to be able to give, I also have to receive. So when we receive and we give with equal joy, is when a
Mm-hmm.
relationship becomes like, it blossoms and it becomes beautiful. Because, somewhere as a society, especially in India, I feel, as a giver, you're always kind of put on a pedestal that, okay, I'm the one who's giving. I'm, I'm not saying it's like a conscious thought, but somehow that's how society feels, right? Or looks at it. So to receive, sometimes we have resistance towards receiving also, that, hey, I want to be the giver. But,
Mm-hmm.
so what I want you to think about, again, to Payal and to all the listeners, that in fact, giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because how does someone receive if there is no one to give? And how does someone even give if there's no one to receive?
Very interestingly put, Divya, because right here, there's an add on question that I would like to ask, and I'm sure a lot of viewers will have the same question. You mentioned about how, giving and receiving is the two sides of the same coin. It's like breathing in and breathing out, right? But
Absolutely.
then there is this question that I often get asked by a lot of people, how much should I give? Because sometimes, over giving
Mm.
can lead to be a doormat, and sometimes over receiving can mean that I'm selfish. So how does one strike this balance here?
No, again, great question, Payal. And yes, I also hear this from people that, okay, am I giving too much? Am I the one who's really invested in this relationship and doing all the work? I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you hear this from people as well.
Yes.
So coming back to, like I was talking about earlier, that when we talk about love, and of course, when it comes to romantic love, it is in relation to another person. But when we look at love in the larger context, right, it's an energy, and we are all
Mm-hmm.
pure energy. And that's why I was saying our essence is pure love. So when we look at love that way, and we also look at how much we love ourselves. So another question I get from people when I talk about self-love is that, you know, isn't it selfish that I just love myself? And won't it be narcissistic that I'm constantly thinking about myself? Right. And it's a
Uh-huh.
valid question. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
again, the way we are brought up, society really, puts so much weightage on being the giver, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
considered noble. And again, I am not advocating that don't give. I'm definitely not advocating that. But the point is that a, if we are giving, we do get depleted. It's energy. So we also need to receive and constantly replenish ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
if we are in relationships which are very draining, and that's why so many people get into, people use the word, I'm so exhausted with this, Divya, is something I get a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And then I have to
Mm-hmm.
bring their attention to the fact that are you loving yourself enough to take care of yourself so that you are constantly charging yourself?
Right.
So the whole thing about the journey of self-love is actually quite the opposite of narcissism or being selfish. It's
Mm-hmm.
simply about honoring each of us, because all of us are divine at the end of the day. Like, we are told that we are bodies and we have souls. Actually, invite you to look at it that we are actually all spiritual beings who are having this human experience, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can really experience love. And actually, in the process, that is the process of our spiritual evolution. So coming back to this, so when we talk about self-love, it's really about, I think in a relationship, the way I would like to put it is, can I honor myself and honor the other person? Because oftentimes when people are over giving, they're constantly honoring the other person, but not honoring
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yes.
those who are overly receiving are only honoring themselves, but not honoring the other person.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
Yeah. So I would like, so anytime something like this is happening, take a pause, because what also happens is we also all get into these autopilot ways of functioning, right? I am a giver. People like me because I am a giver. So even without thinking, I'm on autopilot. The moment I get into a relationship, I start giving, 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 giving.
Mm-hmm.
But underneath somewhere, I'm also expecting that reciprocation. And when that doesn't come, a lot of pain comes with that. And that's exactly, what I was talking about earlier, the self-love part, right? Because we are constantly looking at love in relation to somebody else. So we are hoping, wishing, praying that that person would love us so much that
Mm-hmm.
that would fill the void within. Now the void is within us, and we need to find healthy ways of filling that void, because when we kind of rely on somebody else to kind of do that for us, it's also we kind of end up giving our power away, because it's as if
Right.
this other person has the remote control. They can make me happy, they can make me sad, they can hurt me,
Yes.
right? And some of this may be sounding odd to some of you, the way I'm putting it, but I want you to again take a pause and reflect that, say, if somebody is saying something mean to me,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, they might be mad and they want to just be mean, do I have to necessarily receive it? If I don't receive it because I honor myself
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that, okay, I don't need to receive this energy and I don't even have to be mad at the other person. Maybe they just want to, get it out of their system. But can I just honor myself? That's what I mean by self love, that I am worthy and I'm not going to receive this sort of, like say if somebody throws garbage into your house, you're going to not receive it, right? You'll probably tell them
Right.
politely that, look, this is not the right thing to do. But in relationships, many times, especially in close relationships, and we all do this, right? We kind of try to offload our emotional baggage or,
Mm.
uh,
Like there's someone to rescue us, let me just put everything that I
exactly,
have, all my drama on this person because they are my savior, which is absolutely wrong.
exactly, absolutely. And which is then creates unhealthy patterns. And then because
Right.
relationships become painful and we have gotten hurt, now when we are
Mm.
trying to get into a new relationship, the possibility of getting hurt again kind of holds us back from being who we are.
Uh-huh. Now that's a beautiful thought, and I would like to really pick on that one and speak further, because I have had conversations with you before, Divya, and this is something that you specialize in. So when I hear all this, I think this knowing is one, but doing is another. So what is it that you can share with these viewers who want to overcome all these challenges and finally fill that void and go ahead to find the love that they really want? So how can you make it easy for them?
Sure, Payal, great. I would love to, talk about this. So before I kind of answer that question a little bit more in depth, I'd also wanted to say that, okay, let me also ask another question to you, Payal. It'll be fun. What do you think is the opposite of love?
Hatred came to my mind first.
Yeah. So let's say that that's not the right answer. So what else would come
Wow,
to mind,
okay.
Payal? Yeah.
Would it be resentment?
Yeah. So whether it's hatred or resentment, the way I look at it is that actually the opposite of love is fear, because we're talking about the fear in relationships, right? Most of these so-called negative emotions or difficult emotions that we experience, be it resentment, be it hatred, they are kind of rooted in fear. So it's kind of that fear that is driving our
Mm-hmm.
interactions with them. So my question to the viewers would be that, do you want to find a partner or get into a relationship because you're afraid of being alone? Or do you want to be in a relationship and find the right person for you because you love yourself so much and you are so worthy that you know that you're worthy of finding that partner who would honor you and honor themselves? And it will be this partnership where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
right?
And what I'm hearing you say here is that rather than going with an empty cup, trying to fill something in, are you someone who are already with your cup full and then you just need someone to add in an additional extra nice flavor to it?
Absolutely. So that, together, like as I'm saying, you become this, like, one and one becoming 11 rather than,
Mm-hmm.
right? And obviously, see, as human beings, we all have a very natural need to be loved, to be accepted, to be understood, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I have to give a one word, sort of explanation of love, I would just call it acceptance. Accepting
Right.
somebody for who they are. And then people say, oh, so should I put up with bad behavior? Or
Mm-hmm.
no, because the behavior is not the person. The behavior is a choice that we are all making, like the earlier example. So even if somebody is being mean, or even if I am angry, do I necessarily need to yell and scream and get mean, or can I express that anger in a healthy way, because again, I honor myself and I also honor the other person. So I do want to communicate what's happening with me, but I'm going to communicate it in such a way that we are going to move towards finding a solution rather than focusing on the problem. So
Right.
oftentimes when clients come to me, it's like, Divya, I don't want my past relationship to repeat. Divya, I don't want to go through what my parents have gone through. And
Yeah.
one of the simple things, because you also asked about how do we get out of it. So one of the simplest tips that I can give you, all of you who are listening to us today, is that focus on what you want, not what you not don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because whatever we give our energy to, that is going to grow in our lives. So instead of
Right.
saying that I don't want to be in a bad relationship, let's say that I want to be in a great, loving, understanding, nurturing relationship. To just give you an
Mm-hmm.
example of this, and this is kind of, what, when we talk about abundance, to me, this is really the definition of abundance, where we know that everything is available to us, the universe is on our side, life is not happening to us, it's actually happening for us. Every
Mm-hmm.
experience that we are having is another step towards our own evolution. So every challenge that we are facing, every time you have a partner, or even close relationships, family you talked about, when they trigger us, that trigger is the space for our own growth. So, like, to give you
Right.
an example about what I was saying, that to focus on what we want, like Mother Teresa would say that, I would go to a peace rally, but I would not go to an anti-war rally, because an anti-war rally is still talking about war. What do we
Uh-huh.
want? We want peace, right? So what do
Mm-hmm.
all of you want? You want nurturing relationships, you want real love, right? You
Mm-hmm.
want companionship, which is fulfilling, which is
Mm-hmm.
enriching. So this is a simple tip. So so every time you think, okay, I don't want this kind of a partner, okay, I don't want an angry, whatever spouse, or I don't want a difficult
Mm-hmm.
partner, I want you to just flip it and look at what is it that you really want and energize it. And trust me, you can manifest it, because so many of my clients have manifested the ideal partners, the dream jobs. It's really out there. Just because we are
Right.
conditioned and we kind of shut off many of those channels of abundance, because maybe we were told that it's not possible, maybe we
Mm-hmm.
feel it's going to be too hard, or
Mm-hmm.
many other beliefs that we have developed over a period of time, which are now not serving us and actually keeping us from really experiencing the true beautiful love that each and every one of us really really deserve. The world is such a beautiful place, filled with
Yeah.
such fabulous people. And uh, and and then we are all connected, we are so connected, right? We are all just energy, and we are all divine in our own ways, and yet we are
Mm-hmm.
also unique.
It's very interesting, the way you say it, because it is great to have checklists. What I'm hearing is a checklist, like what is it that I want to focus on, and not thinking of what I don't want, just focusing on what I want. And that can be considered like a mold or a checklist or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of times what I've also observed or noticed in people is that they may or may not have the clarity of
Mm.
what to put in the checklist, and that could be because of their past experiences. So if someone has been really hurt in love, they may really make a checklist not based on what they want from a place of love or from their heart, but based on that previous relationship or suggestions from the external world. So
Yes.
how does one balance this out, when they are coming up with like a list of things that I want to have in my life or in my relationship? How do they really, what is that secret tool, technique, or ingredient that can help you to be clear on what you truly want and not influenced by the past or by people around us?
No, beautifully put, and it's a great question again, Payal. And yes, and that's why I brought this up, because today most of us seem to know what we don't want, but somehow, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, we don't seem to have clarity on what we really want. And isn't that interesting? And that's
Yep.
why it's so hard to find it, because say
Exactly.
if I just get in my car and I start driving around and I don't know where it might be nice,
Mm-hmm.
I can explore and maybe I'll find some interesting destinations. But
Mm-hmm.
if I kind of know where I want to go, even if I don't know the exact pinpointed location, somehow, the universe will open up a path to get there. I think some of you will be able to resonate this. Many times in life, this happens, right? We just have an idea. We really don't know how, when, this will happen, whether it's love,
Yeah.
it's a job, it's a business idea. And
Yeah.
yet, when you start focusing on it, start working on it, somehow things start to happen. And that's exactly what I mean. That, because when we focus on what we don't want, we are actually still stuck in the past, like Payal was talking about. See, people talk about history repeats itself. Why does it repeat itself? Because we are allowing the past to become our future. And if we don't want to do that, so coming back to what Payal was asking earlier, if we don't want our past to become our future, we have to kind of in the present take a pause, look at the past that needs to be cleaned up, so that then it can push us into the future that we really want to go towards. And that's really where the healing piece comes in. So see, when we talk about healing, sometimes people feel, oh my God, am I broken? Am I messed up that I need to heal? The way I would like to explain healing is a journey to wholeness, right? Each of us, many of you would have noticed when children are born, they just rule the world. They just arrive, full of joy, full of potential. And we are all the same, right? When we all arrived, we were that joyful being full of potential who thought, oh, wow, the world is my playground. It's not a battlefield. It is actually a playground. And I'm here to play and enjoy and learn and grow and explore. So that's really our essence, right? But somewhere, like you very beautifully mentioned, people tell us things that, no, don't do this. Don't color outside the lines. Don't say this. Don't wear this color. Girls are not supposed to do this. Boys are not supposed to do this. I think we've all heard enough and more, and each of us have a long list of things. So to come back to what Payal was asking, if you're having difficulty in articulating what you really want, I would invite you to make a list of what you do not want and then start flipping it. So if you say that I don't want an emotionally unavailable partner, I would say that I want a partner that I can connect with emotionally, right? So flip the negative into a positive.
Going from the lower vibration to the higher vibration, so you just got to make that shift and then, continuously rewire yourself by reading the higher vibrational part of it rather than focusing on the lower vibrational part of it.
Exactly, because eventually, it's entirely up to us. See, the beautiful thing is we all have, infinite choice, and we have choice in every moment. The problem is that sometimes when we are in a close relationship, again, the fear of losing that person or the fear of being single, like I cannot tell you how many people have told me, Divya, that when I got into this relationship, there were many red flags. But you know what? I was tired of being single. I had so much pressure from the family. I just jumped into it because this seemed like the best option. So I'm not saying that, like just spend your life looking for kind of the perfect person. What I'm saying is listen to yourself, because somewhere deep within you, you know what is right for you. And you kind of know what you really want. But like Payal said, because the world has probably told you that you should want something else, it's so hard to articulate what I really want.
The
Right?
world, the past fears, the past experiences, so many things that
Absolutely.
we are carrying with us.
So exactly. So when we kind of clear out the past pain, like the other day I was giving Payal this example that, say if I have hurt my arm really badly and I go into a crowded space, I'll probably be so careful, and I'll probably try to stay away from everybody so that nobody comes and touches that arm which is already hurting, right? So this is kind of how we are with emotional pain. If I'm carrying emotional pain, when I'm around people, I'm very guarded. I don't want to be now hurt again. But if I allow the arm to heal, even if somebody pushes me, I will not like it. But it won't give me that pain again because I have already cleared that out, because I've allowed the arm to. Yes, exactly. So we can, and it's not like some, long, very difficult process. There are many simple techniques, sometimes just over a few sessions, people just, understand what had gone wrong and how it had impacted them. Like she talked about childhood, sometimes something so small can be so significant for a child. When a child came back from school, something bad had happened, there was just nobody to talk to at home to explain what had gone wrong. Or maybe they got some other, oh my God, why did you forget your, water bottle in school? Or why didn't you, so for the child, even something as simple as that can be a lot, to say, hey, people are not going to understand me. They're not going to support me. They're not going to be there for me when I need them.
And they
Yeah,
carry that for the rest of their lives if it's not healed.
exactly. Absolutely. And that need to be understood. So when they get into a relationship, this fear that, okay, they will not understand me. They're not going to be there for me. I'm the one who's going to be, and then we also see why. Now you might be thinking, okay, what is my pattern, or where am I stuck? Right. So it's not so simple, because things that have happened in the past, we are all very smart people. And as human beings, survival is our keenest instinct file. Yeah. So even if something major trauma has happened in life, we have to move on in life. So we learn to then, layer it up or shut it down and close it somewhere, so that we can function. Like, so coming back to my arm example, I
Hmm.
may then now, okay, I become very, very selective about how many times do I go out,
Hmm.
or so I kind of start building this wall around me so that people can't come close to me and hurt me. Like, not
Yeah.
a physical, not like a physical wall, but I may be this grumpy person that people don't even want to come near me, because anytime anybody comes near me, I'm like not being nice to them. So
Hmm.
I mean, it might seem a bit extreme what I'm saying, but I'm taking a simplistic example just to kind of make a point. Yeah, so does
Hmm.
that kind of answer what you were asking, Payal, or did I go on a slight tangent here?
No, that it does make sense, and to add on to that, I really liked how you said that we are all spiritual beings having an human experience, right? And when it comes to, really nailing down to see, what is it that I really want, getting clarity on that, and then actually being able to find and enjoy that type of love, feeling free in that type of love, I guess is also an experience. You have to be really aware and experience the situation of how you feel inside. Is it something that I'm truly enjoying while I experience? So switching off that
Hmm.
mind chatter and really feeling from the heart while you're experiencing is what could give you more clarity. And then you can even enhance on the type of partner you want to attract. The list can be enhanced. So that is what I feel. But Divya, what is your take on this? Is this something that could work?
No, absolutely, Payal. And I'm glad that you bring this up. So, see, when I'm saying be clear on what you want, so say I can be clear, say I'm going out to eat, right? So I can be clear that I want a really fresh, healthy, tasty meal, right? So what I'm trying to say is, instead of saying, okay, I don't want to eat fast food or I don't want to eat unhealthy, here I'm just setting the intention that I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a place where I can get like healthy, tasty, nutritious, nourishing food. Yeah. Or I
Hmm.
could go and say, no, I need this chocolate pastry, or I need this pasta and it has to be cooked like this. And then, like this is what Payal was talking about, that when we
Yeah.
go, then we are not open to the other possibilities. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm trying to say is that instead of focusing on what you don't want, and when we talk about what we want, like, we don't have clarity because we get stuck into the detail. Okay, I want somebody
Mhm.
who has to have this job and has to be driving I mean, I'm just being, again, sort of superficial here, but I want you to look at what as a person do you want in your partner. Do you want your partner to be caring? Do you want your partner to be understanding? Do you want your
Mhm.
partner to give you, and you ready to give your partner the space to agree to disagree? Because freedom in relationships really comes from that. Two very
Mhm.
different people can be very happy in a relationship because they give each other, they disagree on many things, but they have agreed to disagree, because that's where the growth lies.
Agree to disagree has the potential to even make a relationship that seems to be on the verge of breaking to mend it.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you
Mhm.
why, Payal, because what happens is, sometimes, say, if I am with a person who has a very different worldview than me,
Mhm.
sometimes that fear of that, what would people think, that my partner has the completely opposite political belief. I hold my political beliefs very strongly. How can I be with somebody else who has other political beliefs? Now, that person could be perfect in every other aspect.
Right.
He's like you said, my heart is telling me he's right for me, because we all have so
Uh-huh.
much wisdom, right? Like I said,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
see, no person has ever come to me in all these years of my work pile and working with hundreds of people saying that, Divya, my heart was telling me this, I followed that path and it all went bad. Not one person. What I hear
Mhm.
mostly is, I could see the red flags, there were warning signals, Divya, I did not pay attention to it, and then, you know what, it all went south.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's about being honest about seeing those red flags, because sometimes,
exactly.
I've noticed people say, oh yes, I know in my heart that this is the person for me, and he's the one or she's the one. But you know sometimes they fail to know whether that feeling comes from here, the heart, or whether is it coming from that urge to just have someone, because you just don't want to be alone, or you're just so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or because this person is actually ticking all the boxes, right? So this
Yes.
person could be ticking all the boxes, and yet when I meet him, energetically, I feel there is a disconnect, right?
Right.
All my list is checked. Yeah, and many of you would have felt this in other experiences in life also. Even when you find a job, like, the description is just perfect, yet when you
Mhm.
go and talk to people in the company, you're like, no, something is off here.
Right.
So the
And
other
it's
thing,
it's always about seeing what kind of a person you are becoming. in the
Absolutely.
relationship.
Exactly, because that's the other piece I was coming to. It's also about values, right? If your
Right.
values and the values of your partner are extremely different, those are the
Mm.
relationships, in my experience, where there's a lot of friction and it's kind of very hard to find common ground.
So, Divya, you mentioned about values, and this is very interesting because a lot of people may know that, but they probably are not able to identify what the values are. So, could you give us some examples of what could be these values that people need to look out for?
Yeah, so again, it's a very personal thing, Payal, right? So there is no right or wrong values. It's again, see, but before I even go there, like how Payal was talking about that, see, the conditioning is so deep, right? And we are all, and we were also talking about, I have been talking so much about, being driven by fear. Yeah. So a lot of times, if a person is kind of ticking all the boxes, so it's like, okay, if I now, don't pick this person, say there are two, three prospective people in your life, it's like, what would everybody else think? A lot of times it's like, okay, what is she thinking? This person is perfect in every way. Why would she choose another person over this person? Because, like I said, this person is kind of ticking off all the boxes on the list, right? But values are kind of the deeper truth for each of
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And kind of that is sort of the guiding light in our life. And it's also like, what is the most important thing in life? So say if many times if I ask people that, okay, is money more important to you or are relationships more important to you? Right now, the
Right.
logical answer would be relationships are more important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see a person who's going to, kind of not be there for the people in their lives, or, kind of, but money would be more important or work would be more important, then you know that their value is not
Right.
not because their behavior is speaking differently, because many times, and that's where the disconnect happens, that many times people think they are something, whereas when you observe them, when you are with them, they're actually not that, they're something else.
You
And
mentioned a word here called behavior. So now this is very interesting because when people are trying to get into a new relationship or trying to find a new love, that is when you usually tend to ask questions, spend time together, but rather than just hearing what they say or just listening to them, behavior is what will actually show the values.
absolutely, absolutely, just when you are around with somebody, just the way they treat other people, just the way they treat a
Yeah.
person on the street, just the way they
Mm-hmm.
talk to maybe an attendant, a parking lot attendant, or it'll tell you so much more about that person versus whatever they might have said, like those smaller moments, those little things. And similarly,
Uh-huh.
bring attention to how you are, how do you hold yourself, how do you show up
Uh-huh.
in conversations, because
Space that I'm holding for the person.
absolutely.
Am I holding a safe space? Am I willing to listen to the person? Am I willing to understand the person? Or am I just sitting there on a judgment seat, trying to see whether the person can check mark the value system or what I'm looking for?
Absolutely, because yeah, and exactly this is what happens. It's like, okay, so this is where, okay, he didn't do this or she didn't do this. Okay, so this is, so it's really about, see, at the end of the day, I mean, coming back to where we started, Payal, when I love myself, I'm going to treat myself the very best, right? All of us, like how Payal was saying, we all know, right? Today we are all smart people. Information is freely available at our
Mhm,
fingertips 24/7. Yeah, so
mhm,
there's no dearth for information. But like how
mhm.
Payal was saying, there's difference in knowing and actually doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all know we should be eating healthy, we should be exercising. Are we doing that because we really love ourselves? Or are we afraid that if I don't do this, I'll fall sick, I'll gain weight, people would not like me? Is that fear what is driving my decision? Or because I love myself so much, and
Mhm,
I know that I am the spirit in this body, and so I take care of myself, I feed myself nourishing foods, I take care of my appearance, I also take care of what I
mhm,
put inside, not only in terms of food, what thought processes, what am I
mhm.
exposing myself to? Because I talk about this sort of the mental pollution. We are all aware of pollution around. We are looking at air quality
Yeah.
index and whatnot. But what about the thought? What is it that we are watching? What is it that we are listening to? What are the people that we are hanging out with? Because they are the ones who are impacting us way more than food and air and water and everything else. The point is, eventually, when I come to that place where I love myself so deeply, like how Payal was saying, that I want a relationship. I don't need it. So it's not like a neediness. It's
Mm-hmm.
again that, I want
Mm-hmm.
this relationship because I want this experience of, being with somebody, being able to share, having that companionship,
Mm-hmm.
a shared journey where together, we are a force.
Yeah.
Is really, I feel, is what all of us want. And I really, wish everyone who's listening, who's already in a relationship, that may your relationship blossom to be there. And if you're looking for a partner, I really wish that you find the one that's going to, so that together you can become, because a relationship at the end of the day is also like an entity that two people create together. Like the analogy I
Right.
like to give people is to, like, you plant a seed, and then over a
Mm-hmm.
period, when you nurture it, you take care of it, it will grow up into a
Yeah.
strong, beautiful tree. And and we are all creative people. We are all passionate, loving, affectionate, caring people. That's just who we are as human beings, because we are social beings.
Yeah.
That's who we are. And that's by connection, like they say, like the worst punishment you can give somebody, even in a prison, is solitary confinement, because we all need that
That's true.
warmth, the connection, and we
Yes.
all need that. Absolutely. So that's really my wish for all our listeners and viewers today, that may you find that love for yourself, and also a loving relationship in your life, whichever shape, form that it shows up in.
Absolutely. We both wish that for each and every one here. And, there is something that I'm going to conclude with, and it may be something that might sound a little harsh for a lot of people, but from what you've spoken, and from what I've understood from this chit chat conversation, the best way to either work out a relationship that you're currently in but going downhill, or to find the love that you really want, is not to really try to focus on the other person, but to try to change and heal within and be the person that you love. Not the person that they love, but the person that you love. And the moment you change your energy and start to love yourself, you will automatically, energetically, like you say, Divya, you are bound to attract people who will fall in love with the version that you are becoming every single day.
Absolutely, Payal. Exactly. And this is, I mean, it's so beautiful that you bring this up, because I kind of wanted to talk about it. See, we all have an external world, right? The outer world that we are all constantly interacting with, people, friends, jobs, homes. And then we have the inner world, our thoughts, our beliefs, you know.
Mhm.
So, say if you are with your partner on this picture perfect, I don't know, beach in Hawaii or Bali or somewhere, and there's this stunning sunset that you're watching. Now, if you've had a big fight 5 minutes
Mhm.
earlier, do you think you'll enjoy that sunset? Most
Absolutely
likely
not.
not, right?
It becomes
Now,
some form of a burning ball of something. It's
yeah,
no
I
longer
mean,
the
yeah,
sun, but a
like
burning
the
ball.
colors might actually, yeah, the colors might actually annoy you. It might all be too much. So the beauty of the sunset remains the same. It is not diminished. It's my inner state that has changed, and I cannot even enjoy that beauty anymore. So that's kind of
Wow.
what Payal is talking about, that when we come within ourselves and we start correcting the inner world, trust me, the
Mhm.
outer world will take care of itself. Because people so many times tell me, but Divya, I'm the one who's coming to you, and my partner isn't, they're not going to be even open to this conversation. They're not going to be able
Mm.
to work on themselves. And I
Yeah.
always tell them that, you do the work, and then you see how things change for you. Because eventually the world is a mirror, right? So my
Yes.
inner state is going to be reflected in the outer. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I invite all of you to, take a pause, connect with yourself, celebrate
Mhm.
yourself, love yourself deeply, clear out, let go of the things that you no longer need.
Yes.
The past hurts, the baggage, maybe it's even a belief that was very helpful 10 years ago. So, say as a child, maybe most of us believed in Santa Claus. Today, as adults, we know it's a myth, right? So it wasn't that it was an invalid belief when I was 5 years old. It was a valid belief. But as an adult,
Mhm.
it is not a belief that's going to serve me in any positive way. So,
So have faith and believe in discovering the new aspects of you.
yeah, because our beliefs need to be also updated from time to time. Like we are evolving, we are constantly changing. None of us is the same every
You.
moment, you know. So, and that's why I call, my work as journeys of self discovery, because we haven't even scratched the surface in discovering the power and magnificence that each of one is. you know.
Absolutely true, Divya. And, I really, really wish that a lot of people can gain from the conversation we had and all these insights and tips that you have been giving us, Divya. And I'm sure a lot of them also would like to find out, because you're giving in so many, hopes, aspirations, and, enticing everybody to really be that version they want to be. So I'm sure a lot of them would want to connect with you. So if they want to do deeper work with you, Divya, how can they reach out to you? Because I'm sure, we can go on and on talking on this topic or subject, but the power or the value that someone will gain by doing one-to-one individual work with you is going to add more value, even greater than what they will have from this particular chit chat. So how can they reach out to you, Divya?
Absolutely, Payal. Yes, so I would love for anybody who feels, inspired after listening to this conversation today, to find more answers, or to just look at themselves and do some deeper work. So yeah, so you can check out my website. So I founded a company called Anveshanam, because Anveshanam is a Sanskrit word which is really about discovery. So I that's why I said that I consider myself an agent of change, and I really love to walk with people on their journeys of self-discovery. So that's one way that you can, get to the website and connect with me there. And I think Payal would post my email ID. You can write to me, or even my phone number, and we can definitely. And you don't have to, sort of sign up for anything. I would be very happy to have a complimentary conversation with you, and we can, understand what you really want. And if I can help you, we could definitely take it forward. So that's kind of how I work, Payal.
Great. Thank you so much, Divya. And yes, absolutely. I am going to put in all the details in this video and also in the description below, so that they can reach out to you for the help that they need. Again, Divya, thank you so much for spending this time on Chit Chat Diaries. And it was really valuable, helpful, and I look forward to possibly having more chit chat sessions with you.
Oh, that would be lovely, Payal. And yeah, I had such a great time talking to you. So a big thank you to you for inviting me here, creating this space where we could have this conversation. And like you said, we can go on and on and on.
Yes.
But yeah, and yeah, so
We have to
hopefully,
stop somewhere and allow
yes,
them to reach out to us personally, so that we can have customized solutions for them.
absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up as well, Payal, because when I do work with individuals, it's a very, very customized solution. While there is a framework that I use, it is completely customized for each person who comes, because everybody has very unique needs in their own ways. So yeah, so thank you everyone. And yeah, I do hope I would get an opportunity to connect with some of you.
Yes, for sure. And remember, I always say that, each one of you is a unique person with your unique success that you want to achieve, and you will achieve if you truly want. So thank you again for watching this Chit Chat Diaries. Thank you so much, Divya, for being here. And I hope to see all of you yet again to get your life from a maze situation to amazing outcomes. So thank you and take care.